Cześć, witam Was bardzo serdecznie. Ja jestem Duszkrom i zapraszam Was na nową serię na moim kanale, a mianowicie horror o tytule Remains of Edith Finch. Chyba prawnie to powiedziałem. Jak nie, to możecie napisać w komentarzu. I także zaczynamy horrorze.
I'm just going to start at the beginning with the house.
Także rozpoczynamy. I musimy dojść do domu. Mieszkałem tu aż skończyłam 11 lat, ale nie miałam dostępu do wielu pokojów. Dobra.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent. I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
Nie była to od pogrzebu brata.
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought
Czy
I'd
mamy
know,
jakiś klucz?
or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
No to musimy dojść do domu.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Dawno nikt nie przejeżdżał. No w sumie racja. To widać po drodze. Tu chyba na dole, tak mi się wydaje, nic nie będzie.
Even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it.
Czyli
But now I had questions about my
odziedziczyła i
family
nie chce
from the
wracać.
house knew the answers to.
W sumie jak coś się wydarzyło, to mogło tak być.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Wygląda tak, jak zapamiętała sobie, okej.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
Dyskomfort, tak? Coś może być na rzecz.
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
Tam wzbudzał lęk, tak?
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
Czyli to nie tutaj. No dobra, to trzeba znaleźć boczne wejście. Tu jest garaż, ale nic nie ma zaznaczonego, więc pewnie to nie to. Kosz na śmieci, nic nie widać.
The house felt like it had always been here. Even the swing set was older than my mother.
Dobra, no to spróbujmy tu może.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Dobra, i mamy pierwszy sejwiczek. Także tu jakiś warsztat, kajaczki, jakiś basenik, włącznik.
The power had been turned off the night we left.
Odłączone.
For the first time in years, I felt like I was home.
2010. Czułaś... O! Wineczko, rybki.
But instead
Przepisy.
of a family, there were just memories of one. Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
Czy często zamawiali z jednej restauracji? No dobra. Mikrofala.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left.
Coś my tu mamy?
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine great-grandma Edie living in a nursing home. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
No tak to trochę wygląda, takie trochę pobojowisko.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
Ewentualnie takie miejsce do przeprowadzki. O, coś tu mamy.
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Aha, czyli do piwnicy pewnie dopiero później będzie można wejść.
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Aha, czy to pradziadek Sven przygotował dla Barbary? Barbara Finch. No dobra. Tu byłem. No to teraz trzeba na górę.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Zaczęła wiercić więc otwory do
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room.
Wiele
I think my
czasu
mom
spędziłam
sometimes regretted not
bawiąc
sealing
się
it
na
up.
strychu. Dobra. Czyli ona tu się trochę też bawiła w tym pokoju.
Louis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed
No i
him.
otwieramy to.
Turns out my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
Kotek.
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan, but I
Zobaczymy, co
had no
będzie
idea
dalej
what was
też.
behind that door.
Okej.
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
Mamy pokój dziecięcy.
I grew up looking at Molly's room. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own, even tinier gerbil cage.
Gryzo.
Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
To tak może po części wyglądać. Tu mamy jakiś
December
pamiętnik.
13th,
Drogi
1947.
pamiętniku, wkrótce
Dear
wyjdę, ale
diary,
chcę opowiedzieć
I'll be
komuś,
gone
co się
soon,
wydarzy.
but I wanted
Wszystko
to
zaczęło
tell
się,
somebody
gdy mama
about
kazała
what's
mi iść
gonna
do łóżka
happen.
bez kolacji.
It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
Czyli,
The gerbil
czyli
food
była
was
głodna
dry,
pewnie.
but I didn't mind it. I ate a lot of things that night.
Dobra.
I kept eating and eating.
Pastę też. Widocznie bardzo głodna była.
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her.
Spojrzała i... Co
And
się
suddenly,
wydarzy?
I was a cat.
Zamieniła się w kota.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really
Okay.
scared.
Czyli teraz jest tam. To trzeba... O, dobra. Jest
Mom and
tutaj.
Dad didn't even look at me.
A rodzice na nią nie spojrzeli. Okej, dobra. Teraz chyba tu. Dobrze.
I jumped and I almost got
Gonimy
him.
tego ptaka. Tu można zaskoczyć. Może tak.
I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird.
To chyba tutaj. Dobra. I teraz jeszcze wyżej. I mamy to.
I gobbled her up,
I ona teraz spadła.
and suddenly I was an owl.
Teraz jest cała.
All I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
Czyli jakie jest tą sową? Dobra, i tu jest niby jakiś króliczek. Tu czego złapiemy? Nie udało się. Dobra.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
Poleciała szukać jeszcze.
A mama rabbit.
Królicza mama.
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
I teraz pytanie, czy to wydarzyło się naprawdę, czy jej się tylko śniło?
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
Jeszcze musimy gonić dalej. Okej. Już prawie.
I grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Czyli kolejna przemiana.
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
Teraz jest potworem. Tu kamera sama się nie przestawia, tylko trzeba spacją przeklikiwać. To jest trochę minus.
I was big, but I moved real quiet.
Czyli tu go zjadła?
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Dobra, kogo my tu mamy teraz? Tu ktoś śpi? Dobra. Co my tu mamy dalej? Bo nie widzę. No, ta kamera trochę ciężko działa. byłam wciąż
Something I
głodna.
had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Do starej rury, tak? Zobaczmy, gdzie ta stara rura nas poprowadzi. Czy to jest to, co myślę? Tak, to jest toaleta.
I got closer and closer.
I tu, z tego co widzę, to jest jej pokój. Wszystko moje brzuchy
All my stomach started
zaczęły
growling,
burczyć.
and suddenly I was me again. I held my breath
No i była sobą.
but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep, but it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
Oboje wiemy, że będę pyszna.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Czyli mamy tutaj Molly zaznaczoną już.
This will be obvious later, but
Później
my mom never told me any
będzie
of
to
these
jasne,
stories.
ale mama nie opowiedziała mi
Edie would
nigdy
have,
żadnej
but mom didn't like bringing
z
up
tych
the past.
opowieści.
So, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great Grandma Edie's room.
Czyli to są takie niedopowiedziane rodzinne
The room is like a
opowieści.
museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family
Odin
curse.
Finch
His wife
grzebie
Ingeborg
najnowsze
and their newborn
ofiary
son.
rodzinnej klątwy stworzą na Ingeborg oraz nowonarodzonego syna Johana.
On January 7th, 1937,
7
he set sail
stycznia
with his
37
family
rok.
and his house,
Kierowany nadzieją
hoping to leave the curse
pozostawienia
behind.
klątwy za sobą, wyrusza na morze, zapierając swą rodzinę oraz swój dom.
But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea.
Niestety 12-metrowe fale u wybrzeży stanu Waszyngton posyłają dom wraz z Odinem na dno oceanu.
Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island.
Córka Odyna Eddie wraz ze swym mężem Svenem oraz ich córką o imieniu Molly wychodzą na brzeg swojego nowego domu wyspy Orcas.
Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery.
Odin Finch jest pierwszą osobą pogrzebaną na nowo założonym cmentarzu rodzinnym.
His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Eddie marzy już o nowej posiadłości rodziny Finchów.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Czyli już mamy Molly i Odina. Czyż mamy dwie osoby wpisane, że tak powiem, do rodzinnego albumu. A my szukamy dalej
Edie gave a
wskazówek.
big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
Czy udzieliła wywiadu,
I
tak?
hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity.
Czy Edith została na wyspie i była bohaterką? Z 37.
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Czy on coś tu budował? Jakiegoś smoka.
Even in her 90s. Sometimes
Czy
Edie
możemy
seemed
tu
a lot
wejść?
younger than my mother.
No i toaleta.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom.
It was a pretty big trace.
Tu jest nawet, żeby przytrzymać. Jakieś sekrety kolejne.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard.
Dobra.
It's hidden in this book.
Mamy jakiś przełącznik.
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished.
Sven dał Samowi stary aparat, który odrestaurował. Odtąd zawsze miał go przy sobie. I tak jak tu można zauważyć, jakieś zdjęcia były właśnie robione. Dość sporo. Znowu Milton, czyli ten kotek. Tak mi się wydaje. I mamy kolejny zapis. Fort Kelvin. Czy tu jakiś taki wojskowy? Taki pokój, taki żołnierski. Samochodziki. Tu widzę, że ktoś, jakiś myśliwy. Sam Finch.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him.
Czy
I
możemy
guess
po
my
tym
grandpa
forcie
didn't like
przejść?
history any
Fajnie.
more than my mom did.
W sensie, że dziadek nie lubił tej historii, tak samo zresztą jak i moja mama. I mamy notatkę.
How I want to remember my brother.
Pamiętam, że
By
gdy
Sam.
coś sobie postanowił,
The thing
nie
I
było
remember
dużo tu.
is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
Jednego buta nie ma. Albo chyba nogę ma złamaną i dlatego w bandażu mam nogę jedną.
My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did.
Oświadczył, że nie zje kolejnego
At
grzyba.
Barbara's funeral, he swore.
Na pogrzebie
never be
Barbary
afraid again.
obiecaliśmy sobie, że już
he
nigdy nie
wasn't.
będziemy się bać.
I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Latanie największym marzeniem Kelvina.
Sam, Calvin, dinner's ready. Coming.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible.
Dokąd będzie?
Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it.
Czy tu wiatr się
I think
zerwał?
he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother.
Ojej.
The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Czy ja do wody wpadł? I zginął. Chyba, że na te kamieniach.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Czy dowiedzieliśmy się trochę o Kelvinie? Czy mamy już trochę informacji o kolejnym
Edie
członku
roped off Calvin
rodziny?
out of the room.
Edith urodziła część pokoju.
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at
także.
18 and never set foot in the room again.
Miała traumę, to odgrodziła. Coś nowego? Znowu przełącznik. Ciekawe co tym razem. Co to za...
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
To najpierw na koniec trzeba pójść.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara
Co
as a
to
child
jest?
star.
Jakaś małpka.
I
Wielka
never thought about
stopa.
how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
Tu jest jakaś gazetka.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara
W czasach, gdy była dziecięcą
was
gwiazdą,
famous
Barbara znana była ze swego krzyku.
Now at 16, she was all
Teraz w wieku 16 lat jej kariera była przyszłością reliktem. Przeciwnie zbiega okoliczności została jednak zaproszona do udziału w konwencji miłośników horrorów, gdzie miała przedstawić swój ikoniczny krzyk. Sęk w tym, że jej krzyk brzydko się zestarzał.
Getting better. I think you just need the
Robisz
right
postępy,
motivation.
brakuje ci tylko właściwej motywacji. Jej największy fan i obecny chłopak, Rick, miał właśnie pokazać jej, gdy...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven.
Ojciec Barbary,
He'd
Sven,
slipped into a table saw
miał
and
wypadek
had
z
to be
pilarką
rushed to the
stołową i
emergency
trzeba było
room.
go zawieźć na ostry dyżur.
Got stuck
I tak
babysitting
Barbara
the
musiała
youngest
zostać w
brother
domu i
Walter.
naniańczyć swojego braciszka,
Was cancelled.
Waltera. Jej powrót musiał poczekać.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing
Czeka
Orcas
przy
Island tonight.
maskach
Police
w
are urging
Halloween
residents to
terroryzuje mieszkańców Orcas Island.
You're right! Also, I love
Coś się
your
działo w
delivery.
piwnicy.
Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him. Right on cue.
Czyli Rick zaginął w piwnicy.
She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Dobra, czyli weszła do piwnicy.
She found Rick's clutch and imagined the worst.
Czyli to jest kula. Jakieś ślady jakby walki. Trzeba tu jakoś przejść teraz. Aha, dobra. Czyli tak można.
The gang gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
Coś tu... Co to jest? Okej, czyli tam może coś być. Co to jest?
Rick?
Barb, relax.
Po prostu udawał.
I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Czyli musimy iść na górę. Co to? Samo spadło?
Walter, are you there? Walter vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara
On już dotarł.
saw the hookman and was speechless. He was quite smashing. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
Czy on tu puka? Trzeba uciekać.
She played her part beautifully. She thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it.
Czyli musimy iść po Waltera. Tędy?
Hadn't been quiet in years. The hinges grow. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
Pewnie jak tam pójdę, to on będzie żyć i zniknie. W sumie klasyk.
Had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Dzwonek do drzwi. To pewnie tamten chłopak.
She heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
Co to? O, niespodzianka.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She going to be famous.
Będzie sławny.
And with her final breath, Barbara
Poza swym
Finch
ostatnim
gave
tchnieniem
a performance.
Barbara Finch dała występ swojego życia.
I wasn't there myself, but
Nie było mnie tam, ale słyszałem, że Barbara była wyborna.
she had a taste for
Biedactwo posmakowała sławę,
Unfortunately, so did her
a jej
fans.
sława zasmakowała także
Plus,
jej
the police
fanom.
blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story.
Walter pod łóżkiem był.
Tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now
Jej
that's
ucho, ojej.
a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Dobrze, widzowie, także mamy tutaj zapis. I ja zakończę ten pierwszy odcinek. Także widzimy się w kolejnych. Dzięki też, że oglądacie i do zobaczenia. Cześć!